we need to talk about communication. But before we do, I want to be upfront. This video contains absolutely no information you don't already know, nor anything you can't find anywhere else. Yet, here we are, because individuals don't have to go through green light, because there isn't any people to get approval from, and that's by design. This leaves one question, because if a video, like anything else in life, requires effort to become, there must be a reason somewhere for production to make sense. What you have to understand is that if a creator, any creator, personally believe in an idea, what comes at the other end can even be irrelevant to a consumer as long as there's an indicator for why. Now, one person's ability to maintain attention shouldn't be taken for granted. So considering the above, you have 3 options. Actually, 4. Click on the back button, click on the next button, keep watching, or go do something useful. Else. Go do something else. Having everything at your fingertips is something that many people value. But whether value serves efficiency or laziness is getting more and more unclear. Which, just for clarity, a want is a choice, a need is a requirement. It makes sense as technology gets smarter that it's put into everything there is, but in return, if we are more than one click away from anything, then whatever that is not attractive. Or get up from your chair or something. It goes without saying that the ability to communicate has served well throughout the history of the human race. But then again, these things are tools and not the other way around. Imagine somebody came into your office and pitched that, hey, we know that people are nosy and we're gonna give them that opportunity for free. The ability to transform an idea into words with meaning is maybe the most overlooked skill ever to obtain. It seems obvious, but considering the limbic part of your brain have no understanding of language, like for example, and if you're still here, explain why you're still here. Exactly. Communication offers more than meets the air. Text messages has been around since before we migrated online. And even if they have improved, they are limited to efficiency. Beneficial maybe with time and place and location, and editable until you hit send. But if you're a member of the Short Memory Foundation or don't know where to look, you know that technology does not fix communication skills. Digital is a tiny fraction of human history, and it's only going in one direction. The laws of physics are maybe preventing us from seeing the future, but algorithms improve their prediction based on, how much we use them. And if this sounds creepy, that is because it is. So let's do a thought experiment. If a computer could predict your personal state of mind based on said variables against what reactions would arise, how much content would have made it through? The media is often considered being the 4th branch of government, but now that media is available to the audience. Or, well, the reality here isn't fewer taps equals time saved. It's gained amount of rubbish that makes you lazier. It's like you can feel your brain cells obliterating. Without the app on the phone though, which is a true blessing by the way, you should try it, 3 or even 4 taps is the new 1. And then you have to log in. It's important to note that the vast majority of what you find online hasn't gone through editorial. And as a slight side tangent here, this video hasn't either, because it's you and it's me and a platform. Though I'll leave it for you to decide whether it came out like this on the first attempt. Editorial in a nutshell is a group of people deciding whether information gets to stay. Because what comes out the other end needs to handshake with what the company stands for, because that's what a company is. We have to remember that reality is every single moment of your life. And this isn't a bad thing that we don't get to read all that, because sadness doesn't spread in the same way. But it's important to highlight in relation to what moments made it through. The second point here is time. Because just like all of the things that you swore you were going to do doesn't always have the same impact when you get back to them. In other words, the exposure can be reduced, possibly even put to a halt, with your own ability to restrain from logging in. with the attention the digital is getting, it appears as if you're expected to know everything about everyone, even accounted for as dumb if you didn't. But honestly, wouldn't not knowing instead be something to be proud of? What have you been up to? I've been snooping around your wall. Actually, I don't know why I'm here. How about you? A conversation is the exchange of information. 50% talking, 50% listening. Apparently meeting people is supposed to be noisy. I just never understood how yelling equals having a good time. While introverted people through the eyes of extroverted ones appear as lonely, it's actually a preference because their entire persona is put together differently. Still, nobody falls hard into one category. Hanging out as a kid, and even as a grown man, I'd raise my hand, and even then it'd be impossible to get through because other people's attention span is short. If this is true, then the question becomes if removing people entirely from a conversation will impact the direction it's going. Listening, just to repeat, is half the conversation. Talking about each other and at each other, past each other, and too little time speaking with each other. When we get distracted by our own beliefs, we draw conclusions based on those beliefs. If we instead open conversation, also known as being a human, we'd stand in a position to learn something from the other person. Listening requires you to let go of yourself and be part of the moment. When you hold a thought, there's a gap between what you want to hear and what's being said. You're also not part of the conversation, even if it looks like you're paying attention. And in fact, the more it looks like you're paying attention, the less you are. Coherent conversation doesn't have that many topics in the air at once. That's the point of meeting. Certain people tend to be more engaged than others, and at least I fell into this category myself, sometimes still do. While online, you can skip ahead without hurting anyone's feelings. The reason I wanted to make this video then was because less talking on my end does not mean more talking on the other, even if prompted. Can this mean that the ability to converse has decayed with technology? We're approaching 1400 words, and the remainder of this conversation will have to stand by for a future episode. Concluding what we have so far though, communication is not only a crucial part of being human, but an incredibly important skill, mostly because conversation actually is listening. Media is considered the fourth branch of government, and whether material goes through editorial or not, information presented is only a fraction of the real thing. Physically meeting definitely still needs to happen, but the will to take action decreases if technology are solutions and not a tool. We know this because solutions serving wants creates new problems that want new solutions that makes new problems, and so on. Solutions serving needs gain efficiency because they show improvements as a result. Thank you so much for watching.